Good morning. I apologize for last week kind of being story time. I will get back to that in a second, but I realized I haven't been showing off a few things that I've been receiving. The first one being Gaz's comic, The Horror Ep4. This is fantastic. He did a wonderful job. I'm looking forward to the second one. I will throw a link down below to his Etsy store. You can order it yourself. I threw in an ad for his comic in my 5th issue. Turned out awesome little mock comic, whatnot. I dug it. I dug the whole series. I'm going to do a review at some point. Just kind of getting everything sorted right now. I also redid my Kevin Smith original art frame. These are sketch cards I've gotten of Kevin's from supporting him on Patreon. I will throw a link down to his Patreon as well. I'm going to talk Patreon a little bit later, but I just wanted to show that off. He does hangouts once a month for $5 plus. So worth it. Yeah, I'll get to that a little bit later, but I wanted to show those things off. Links down below for all that stuff. But I want to talk to you about Lazzzzzzerfocus. I see a lot of friends and artists like trying to do 20 different things, and the problem is that they have all of their fingers in a different pot, which means all of them are getting built up slowly. But if they took all their fingers and put them in one, it would make one project go super fast. And that's what I try to do with my comic series. I put all my focus into one aspect of my comic. I do the pencils, I do the inks, I do the coloring, and then I rinse and repeat and start it all over for the next issue. So many times I see people saying, well, if I just do this and I just do this and I do this, well, that's because you're not able to see the fruition of one project because you're trying to get 8 different projects all done at the same time, which is not recommended. And this I know from back in my World of Warcraft days. The way you would kill a boss is all the essential people would take their own targets and rip them away from the boss, and you'd get everybody in the group to super focus on one guy, drop them, move to the next target, drop them, move to the next target, drop them. I'm not saying 100% of your focus should be on your project. Like me, I do about 80% focus on my current comic that I'm working on, the comic series as a whole. I'm usually posting to all my social medias, either the last issue, getting caught up on the webcomic, or my Patreon with my current progress. And then I save about 20% for other projects. I'll get to that in a second, but I just wanted to make a note that if you're struggling and you're not seeing the people clamoring about one project and you have 20 different projects going on, maybe try focusing on one for a month and seeing how far you can get on that project, and see the support behind that from your friends seeing you doing just this one project. So let me tell you about the last 2 weeks because they've been insane. Like I said earlier, if you noticed, last week was kind of a story time, and that's because I was nowhere near my computer last week. I was house sitting for a friend, which started on the 11th, which would have been not last Friday, but the prior Friday. Would have been the day after that. So I basically had to get everything done that weekend for the next week and a half. While I was house sitting, I was working on finishing inking for issue 6, and I can say that issue 6 is fully inked and ready to roll. On coloring, I just have to get it all scanned in and print it off to start the coloring process. But that weekend, I took my friends down to the airport. They had to be there Saturday the 12th. They were going to England. I dropped them off at the airport. It was about 9 o'clock. Was leaving town. Their flight got delayed, so they asked me to wait around because it would have been an hour and a half drive to come back and get them because they wouldn't be staying at the airport waiting. So I did. It took about 3 hours for them to board after getting delayed. So I had to hang around in the capital for 3 hours, which was pretty boring, but I'm a nice guy. I can handle that. It's little things I can do for friends to help them out when they need it, and I didn't mind. So I went back to their place, made sure that their cats were fed for that evening, that Saturday night, left there, drove back to Clarion. All the time right now I have my parents' van because it has air conditioning, gets better gas mileage than Odin. So I drive back to home to swap vehicles so I can get Odin and hang out with friends for the evening. We had a bonfire. Went till about 3 o'clock in the morning. At 3 o'clock in the morning, that Sunday, came back to my parents' place. Got that video for last week done, uploaded, scheduled for last Thursday. Also did the teaser video that night. Scheduled it for Tuesday. When we were off to the races, I had to be there at 8 o'clock to feed the cats again. They were in a daily schedule. Feed them 8 in the morning, 8 at night. All the other time was mine to ink, basically. So that, getting all those videos done, scheduled, ready to roll, pretty stressful. I was glad they were uploaded before I took off. Then I had everything sorted, scheduled, and ready. And then I inked all week. I got through my whole watch list on YouTube of podcasts and stuff that I was waiting to get through. I even made it through the new Voltron series on Netflix. And finished up Lost Girl. I think I was on the last season. I think they split it up when it was on TV. And then just inked my heart out the whole week. I think I was halfway done, so I was about page 12. Issue 6 has 26 pages, so did about 2 pages a day, which was reasonable. It was a little freakish, because I was actually using a brush and ink for the most part, and trying not to spill ink everywhere was beyond stressful. Because it's somebody else's place and I don't want to get ink everywhere, it's stained and everything. So yeah, that was basically my week last week. It's all inked, ready to roll. So then I went to pick them up. I met up with my friend and we got some details hammered out on the next project I'll be working on. I also had I actually had a few people asking me what my plans were for the end of this year. They were kind of trying to determine where I rest on everything I'm trying to get done. And it basically is this. Each issue takes me about 2 months to do. That's start to finish pretty much. And I am planning on getting issue 5 to 9 done this year. And then I want 10 to 13 of I Never Forgot done next year. So that's the next year and a half done just for this project. When I met up with my friend, it was to discuss and hammer out plans for the project that will be taking place after this. He's going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting as far as writing and whatnot. I'm kind of guiding him and showing him how I'm laying out plot and script for my issues. Like I said, I won't be working on it for about a year and a half, but we can at least get the details hammered out, script put together, some roughs designed up. Basically, it's going to be a lot of time spent with sketchbooks for designs and whatnot. But this is the 20% I was talking about earlier. Focus on one main goal, but leave yourself a little wiggle room so you can work on something else now, or one thing over here, or one thing over there, but don't take away from your main attention. I've also been seeing everybody saying to new artists to not take on a big project, and I think that's a little misleading. I think if you're willing to take on a big project, when I got into this project last year, when I saw that it took a couple months to finish an issue, and I realized I was setting up for 13 issues, it was a fight or flight situation, and I could have easily been like, you know what, this is way too massive of an undertaking, I don't feel like doing it, but I stuck with it, and you can see my art improving. I also saw something, somebody saying that if new artists did bite off a big project like that, they would see their art look vastly different from the ending to in the beginning pages. And like, yeah, that's true, but you're gonna see that probably in any project that you work on. Probably not to the degree I have so far, just because this was my first foray into this world. But I think it's really starting to straighten it out, and I think issue 6, 7, probably 8 are going to be along the similar lines, as far as the art, the design, panel layout. I think it's at a level where I can still learn some tricks, learn some details, and make some things better. But for the most part, I'm really satisfied with how 6 looks, my hopes for 7 and beyond. And now that I'm done inking 6, I have yet to scan it in. There's a couple mistakes I want to fix on a few of the pages, so I'm waiting to go back and hit those up. So I'm going onwards with issue 7 because I want the feel of issue 7 to be spot on, and I have this little window of time right now that I can kind of focus my energy on getting the roughs done, the details plotted out just like I want them, and I think it'll make for a much better design getting this before I get into the coloring of issue 6. Another fun thing that happened this weekend, when I picked up my friends from the airport, after talking to my friend about our project that we have going on, I went and picked up my friends from the airport. They had just gotten back from England. Your Mother's Basement, the comic podcast I listen to, I had suggested that they read East to West, which is an awesome comic. I highly suggest you if you find volume 1. I think it's on In Stock Trades. I'll have the link down below for like $6 for the first volume. I definitely feel like you should pick it up. It's a good read. But I had suggested this a week prior. They decided to do it. And of course I was driving back from the capital of Iowa. I had about a 2-hour drive. I knew when they were going live, so I calmly pulled off to the side of the road. I told my friends it'd be a couple minutes. I was going to text thoughts and ideas for the show. I pulled off the side of the road, talked in the live chat for about 5 minutes, hit the road again, finally dropped off, jumped back into the live stream. They had just started talking about it, hung out for another 10 minutes, and then drove home. So if you want to check out that discussion, I will have that link down below. Your Mother's Basement Comic Talk, number 17, I believe, East to West. And that's been my week. Right now I'm working on the roughs for issue 7. and a few movies are going to be helping with that process. There won't be any more inking videos for issue 6, just because I didn't want people getting ahead of what is out in the world right now. Right now my Patreon is locked down. I've been doing the inking spreads all month for paying patrons. I'm going to be sticking with that design where I have the pencils free and available for everybody. But as soon as I go onto the inking stage, I will flip it for just Patreons. I have a bunch of different levels now. I've started doing a comic review, whatnot too. There will be a couple extra videos a month. If you want early access to those, I'm still trying to figure out what else I can do to make Patreon worthy. But my Patreon's not for necessarily helping get supplies. Patreon is basically a tip jar that if you like what I've got going on, if you like these videos, whatnot, if you pitch in $1 or $2, whatnot, all that money is going to other creators. Like, basically the money I get from Patreon right now is going to other patrons. I think I am supporting 4 right now, and I have a list of other Patreons that I want to take on as soon as I'm able to. Financially, I really can't take on more than I am right now, but as soon as more people donate to my Patreon, I will be able to donate to more people's, and that's basically what I'm using Patreon for right now. I use the Kickstarters to fund the printing of the books, so I don't necessarily need any money from Patreon. So I figured filtering it to other creators is the best way to do it for me. So yeah, that's what's going on with me right now. I think I will be throwing up a few coloring videos. Those will probably be the next couple weeks of me coloring the first few pages of issue 6. If you have issue 5, you've seen those preview pages. Those are also the pages that I inked previously weeks. You can check them out. The previous weeks of me inking those pages, I probably will do about 3 weeks of the coloring process of those first 6 pages. But yeah, that's going to do it for me now. I hope the week's treating you well. I will be back with new videos next week, a new comic review, probably middle of the next week, and also you can read issue 5 started this week, or last week actually, on my webcomic. I'll put links down to that as well. I think that's going to do it. So, thanks for tuning in. I will check in with you next week. All the love, and hope that your creations are coming along well. Later.